When Ronan Vale pulled over on that merciless October night, he thought he was just helping a stranger caught in the rain. But the woman, sobbing at that abandoned bus stop, blind, soaked to the bone, left behind like she was nothing, was hiding a truth so twisted it would shatter everything he thought he knew about cruelty and love. The rain was hammering down so hard that Ronan could barely see 2 feet in front of his pickup truck. It was 7:30 on a Thursday evening in Bridgeton Hollow, and the world had turned gray and cold and unforgiving. His hands ached from 12 straight hours of carpentry work, installing kitchen cabinets for a client who changed her mind about measurements 3 times. At 33 years old, with deep brown skin and strong hands calloused from years of woodwork, his body was starting to remind him that long days took their toll. But he couldn't complain. Not when he had an 8-year-old daughter waiting at home who depended on him for everything. He was thinking about Poppy, probably negotiating with Uncle Micah right now for extra cookies before bed, when his headlights caught something that made his heart stop cold. At the old bus stop on the edge of town, the one that nobody used anymore, someone was sitting on the bench, not sheltering from the rain, not waiting with an umbrella or proper coat, just sitting there, hunched over, completely soaked, head bowed in a posture that spoke of absolute despair. And they were alone, utterly, devastatingly alone. Ronan's first instinct was to keep driving. He was exhausted. It was late. And getting involved in someone else's crisis never ended simply. But then he pictured Poppy in that position, cold, wet, helpless, and his foot hit the brake before his brain caught up with his heart. He pulled over and stepped out into the storm. As Ronan got closer to the bus stop, his stomach twisted into a knot. The figure was a woman, maybe early 30s, with long dark coils plastered to her face and neck, her brown skin glistening with rain. She wore a thin green dress that was now completely soaked. A small wheeled suitcase lay on its side in a puddle beside her. But what absolutely shattered Ronan's heart was the sound. She was sobbing, not crying quietly, but sobbing. Deep, wrenching sounds that shook her entire frame, the kind of crying that came from somewhere so dark and broken it hurt just to witness. Her hands covered her face, and Ronan noticed something that made his chest tighten. Around her eyes was a black blindfold, soaked through like everything else. She was blind. "Ma'am," Ronan called out, raising his voice over the rain, but keeping his tone gentle. "Ma'am, are you okay?" The woman's head jerked up at his voice, but her eyes, hidden behind that wet blindfold, didn't focus on him. Her whole body went rigid with fear. "Please," she gasped, her voice raw and broken from crying. "Please, I'm just waiting for the bus. Please, just leave me alone." "Ma'am, the last bus came through hours ago," Ronan said carefully, taking another step closer. "There won't be another one until tomorrow morning. You can't stay out here, you're freezing." "I have to wait," she insisted, and her voice cracked on the words. "He said, he promised someone would come. He promised." Fresh sobs tore from her throat, so full of anguish that Ronan felt his own eyes start to sting. Ronan crouched down a few feet away, making himself less threatening. "Ma'am, I don't know what happened to you, but I can see you're hurting. My name is Ronan Vale. I live right here in Bridgeton Hollow. I can take you somewhere safe. The hospital, the police station, wherever you want to go. But please, you can't stay out here." The woman was shaking so violently, her teeth chattered. I don't know where to go. I don't have anything." Her voice broke completely on that last word, and she pressed her mouth against her hands as if trying to physically hold back the sobs. But they came anyway. ripping through her like the storm itself. Ronan's heart shattered. Then come with me, just to get warm and dry. I promise you're safe. I have a daughter at home. She's 8. I swear to you, I only want to help. For what felt like an eternity, the woman didn't move. Then slowly she nodded, her whole body trembling. Ronan gently helped her to her feet. She was unsteady, disoriented. He retrieved her small suitcase and carefully guided her to his truck, his hand light on her elbow. Once she was in the passenger seat, he cranked the heat up as high as it would go and draped his rain jacket around her shoulders. She pulled it close, still shivering, still crying quieter now, but no less broken. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice so small it barely rose above the sound of rain hammering on the truck roof. "Thank you." Ronan's throat felt tight. "What's your name?" "Alara," she said after a moment. "Alara Wynn." "Alara, I'm going to take you to my house so you can get in dry clothes and get warm. Then we'll figure out the rest, okay?" She nodded, unable to speak, and Ronan pulled back onto the road with his heart heavy and his mind racing with a single burning question. Who had left this woman at a bus stop in the middle of a storm? Ronan's house on Willowbend Lane was small but warm, with golden light glowing in the windows. He helped Alara inside, where his younger brother, Micah, was sprawled on the couch reading a thriller novel. Micah, with his dark brown skin and close-cropped fade, stopped mid-sentence when he saw Alara, taking in her soaked clothes, the blindfold, the way she trembled. "What happened?" Micah asked quietly. "Found her at the old bus stop. She needs help," said Ronan. "Can you grab towels and see if there's anything of Melanie's that might fit her?" Micah's expression shifted immediately to understanding and compassion. Ronan's late wife had been gone for 5 years now, but some of her clothes were still tucked away in boxes. "Of course, I'll be right back." Ronan guided Alara to the couch, helping her sit. "You're safe now. You're inside. You're warm. Nobody's going to hurt you here." Alara's hands clutched at the jacket still wrapped around her. "Where's your daughter?" "Asleep upstairs. Her name's Poppy. I don't want to scare her." "I must look." "You look like someone who's been through something terrible," Ronan said gently. "And that's okay. You don't have to explain anything right now." Micah returned with an armful of towels and dry clothes, soft gray sweatpants and a cream-colored sweater that had belonged to Melanie. Ronan led Alara to the bathroom, carefully describing the layout. "Shower's straight ahead. Controls are on the left. Turn it toward the right for hot. Towels are on the rack to your right. I'm leaving dry clothes on the counter. Take all the time you need." "Thank you," Alara managed, her voice thick with emotion. I don't know how to thank you." "You don't have to thank me," Ronan said softly. "Just get warm." 30 minutes later, Alara emerged from the bathroom. Her dark coils were still damp, but no longer dripping, and Melanie's clothes hung slightly loose on her smaller frame. The blindfold was still in place. She looked small and lost and utterly exhausted. Ronan guided her back to the couch, and Micah brought her hot tea with honey. She wrapped her hands around the mug, absorbing its warmth. For a long moment, nobody spoke. "Alara," Ronan said gently, "you don't have to tell us anything if you're not ready, but we want to help if we can." Alara's lip trembled. "I don't even know where to start." "Start wherever feels right," Micah said kindly. Alara was quiet for a long moment. Then very quietly, she began to cry again. Not the broken sobs from before, but softer, sadder tears that spoke of exhaustion and hopelessness. "I was left there," she whispered. "At that bus stop. I was told to wait, that someone would come for me. But nobody came. And I realized, her voice broke. I realized nobody was ever going to come. Ronan's hands clenched with fury at whoever had done this. Who left you there, Alara? But she shook her head, unable to say more. I'm sorry. I can't talk about it yet. It hurts too much. That's okay, Ronan said immediately. You don't have to explain anything. You're safe here, and that's what matters right now. Alara nodded, tears streaming down from beneath the blindfold. I'm so tired. Then let's get you to bed. You can rest, and we'll figure everything else out tomorrow. Ronan led her to the guest room, the small bedroom at the end of the hall. He made sure she knew where everything was, describing the layout carefully so she could navigate. If you need anything at all, just call out. One of us will hear you. Thank you, Alara whispered, her voice breaking. Thank you for not leaving me there. Ronan's throat was tight. I would never leave someone out there. Never. That night, Ronan lay awake listening to the rain, thinking about the broken woman in his guest room, and wondering what kind of cruelty had put her there. Ronan woke early the next morning to find Alara already up, sitting at the kitchen table with her hands wrapped around a mug of coffee that Micah must have made for her. Her blindfold was still in place, and her face was pale and drawn. She'd clearly been crying again. Couldn't sleep? Ronan asked gently as he poured himself coffee. Alara shook her head. Every time I close my eyes, I'm back at that bus stop, waiting in the rain, realizing he wasn't coming back. Ronan's chest tightened. He? Who's he, Alara? She was quiet for a long moment, her fingers trembling against the mug. Then she took a deep, shaking breath. It was my husband, Dax. He's the one who left me at that bus stop. The words hung in the air like a bomb that had just detonated. Ronan set down his coffee mug very carefully, his hands clenching with controlled rage. He waited, letting her continue. We'd been married for 4 years, Alara said, her voice hollow. When I first went blind 9 months ago from a retinal infection, he seemed supportive. He said all the right things. He took over managing our finances to reduce my stress. I was so lost in my grief over losing my sight that I just let him. Her voice hardened slightly. But about 2 months ago, I started hearing things. Phone calls he'd taken another room, him telling his brother about moving assets and covering tracks. When I asked him about it, he told me I was paranoid, that my blindness was making me imagine things. He was gaslighting you, Ronan said, anger simmering beneath every word. Yes, for weeks. And I started to believe him, started to think maybe I was losing my mind along with my sight. Alara's hands trembled around the mug. Then yesterday morning, he told me we were going to see a specialist who might be able to help with my condition. I was desperate, so I believed him. We drove for hours. He pulled over at that bus stop, said he needed to make a phone call, told me to wait on the bench. I waited. I waited for hours, Ronan, in the rain, getting colder and colder, calling out for him, and slowly realizing that he wasn't coming back, that he just left me there. Her voice broke completely. Left me in the middle of nowhere with no phone, no money, no identification. He wanted me to disappear. The sobs came then, deep and devastating. And Ronan moved to sit beside her without thinking, his hand gentle on her shoulder. I trusted him, Ronan. I loved him. And he threw me away like I was nothing. You're not nothing, Ronan said fiercely. You're a person who was betrayed by someone who should have protected you. That's not your fault, Alara. That's his cruelty, not your worth. Before Alara could respond, there was the thunder of small feet on the stairs, and Poppy burst into the kitchen in her butterfly pajamas, her dark braids wild around her face. "Daddy, Uncle Micah said we have a..." She stopped abruptly when she saw Alara, her brown eyes going wide. "Oh, hello. Are you the lady Daddy helped last night?" Poppy climbed into the chair next to Alara, studying her with unfiltered curiosity. "I'm Poppy. Why are you wearing a blindfold? Are you playing a game?" "Poppy," Ronan started, but Alara held up a hand. "It's okay." She turned toward Poppy's voice, and something in her expression softened. "I'm wearing it because I'm blind, sweetheart. I can't see anymore, so the blindfold helps me feel more comfortable." "Oh," Poppy said, processing this with the seriousness of a child trying to understand something important. "That must be really hard. But you know what? My teacher has a blind uncle, and she says he can do almost anything. So you're probably really brave." Despite everything, Alara smiled. Small and fragile, but genuine. "Thank you, Poppy. That's very kind. Why were you at the bus stop all alone in the rain?" Alara's smile faded. "Someone left me there. Someone who should have taken care of me." Poppy's face scrunched up with indignation. "That's really mean. When you love someone, you're supposed to protect them. That's what my daddy does for me." Poppy reached out and patted Alara's hand with earnest gentleness. "Well, you don't have to be alone anymore. You can stay with us. We have an extra room, and Daddy makes really good pancakes, and I can describe things to you so you know what they look like." Alara's eyes filled with tears again, but this time they felt different. Warmer somehow. "You're a very sweet girl, Poppy." "I know," Poppy said matter-of-factly. "Daddy says I get it from my mommy." And for the first time since Ronan had found her sobbing in the rain, Alara's smile reached beyond her pain and touched something that looked almost like hope. That afternoon, Ronan took Alara to the Bridgeton Hollow Police Department. Detective Lila Harrow, a sharp-eyed black woman with silver-streaked locks, listened to Alara's story with growing concern. Within hours, with the help of the department's tech specialist, they accessed Alara's cloud storage, digital backups she'd kept of her jewelry business that Dax hadn't known about. The evidence was damning. Dax had been systematically draining her accounts for months, transferring $186,000 to offshore accounts. He'd started the transfers 2 weeks after she went blind. "He was going to have you declared dead," Ronan said, the realization hitting him like a punch to the gut. Detective Harrow nodded grimly. "We're issuing a warrant for his arrest. With this evidence, we have a strong case." Ronan insisted Alara stay with them while the investigation moved forward. At first, she was hesitant, but Poppy's enthusiasm wore down her resistance. "Besides," Poppy said seriously, "I already told everyone at school about my new friend Alara. If you leave now, I'll look like a liar." So Alara stayed, and slowly, carefully, she began to heal. Ronan connected her with a mobility training specialist named Marin Cole, who helped her navigate the world with confidence. Marin, a middle-aged black woman who'd been blind for 20 years, understood exactly what Alara was going through. "Your independence isn't gone," Marin told her during their first session. "It's just different now, and different doesn't mean less." Those words stayed with Alara as she learned to navigate Ronan's house, then the neighborhood, then the town itself. Each small victory felt like reclaiming a piece of herself that Dax had tried to take. Poppy appointed herself Alara's official describer of things, spending hours after school painting verbal pictures of everything around them. The pasta is like little curly telephone cords, and the sauce is red like fire trucks, and the cheese on top looks like snow. But yellow snow, which Daddy says we should never eat if it's actually snow. But this is cheese, so it's okay. Alara would laugh, genuine laughter that came more easily with each passing day. These moments of lightness punctuated the harder days. The days when panic attacks left Alara gasping, when the memory of that bus stop felt too close. But Ronan was always there, steady and patient, never pushing, just present. One particularly difficult night about 2 months after she'd moved in, Ronan heard crying from the guest room around 2 a.m. He knocked softly. "Alara, are you okay?" "I'm sorry," came her broken voice. "I didn't mean to wake you. I had a nightmare." "Can I come in?" "Yes." Ronan found her sitting on the edge of the bed, shaking. He sat beside her, not touching, just there. "Somebody did come," Ronan said quietly. "I came, and you're not there anymore. You're here, safe, with people who care about you. You're never going to be that alone again." "How can you be so sure?" "Because we're not going anywhere. You're stuck with us now. Me, Poppy, Micah, Marin, Detective Harrow. You've got a whole team of people who aren't going to let anything happen to you." Alara turned toward his voice. "Why? Why do you care so much about someone you barely know?" Ronan was quiet for a moment. "When Melanie died, I felt lost, like part of me had died too. Then I pulled over that night and saw you, and something in me woke up. Maybe it's because I know what it's like to feel broken, or maybe it's just because you're worth caring about, Alara. You're worth showing up for." Alara's breath hitched. "I don't feel worth anything right now. That's the lie trauma tells you. But I see you, Alara. I see your strength, your resilience, the way you get up every morning and try again, even when you're terrified. That's worth everything." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, and gradually, Alara's breathing steadied. About 4 months after moving in, Alara started thinking about her jewelry design business again. "Before I went blind, I designed custom pieces for clients all over the country," she told Ronan one evening as they sat on the porch. "People would send me their stories, and I'd design something that captured that emotion in metal and stone." "You could do that again. Design by touch." "Do you really think so?" "I've watched you navigate a world you can't see with more grace than most people who can. If anyone can create beauty without sight, it's you." Within weeks, Alara had set up a workspace in Ronan's garage. She ordered specialized tools designed for tactile work and started with simple pieces, relearning the feel of different metals, the weight of stones. Ronan would come home from his carpentry jobs to find her bent over her workbench, fingers moving with precision and confidence, creating shapes and forms that seemed to appear like magic under her touch. "How do you know it's beautiful if you can't see it?" Poppy asked one afternoon. "Beauty isn't just what you see," Alara explained, her fingers never stopping their work. "It's what you feel, the balance of weight, the smoothness of curves. I can feel when something is right." Her first completed piece after going blind was a pendant, a silver tree with roots that became branches, symbolizing growth and transformation. She gave it to Poppy as a thank you gift. "It's beautiful," Poppy breathed. "It feels like a real tree, but tiny and perfect." "It's a reminder," Alara said, "that even when things seem broken, even when you lose something important, you can still grow. Sometimes in directions you never expected." Soon, Word spread about the blind jewelry designer, creating extraordinary pieces by touch alone. Her work became sought after, not just for its beauty, but for what it represented, the triumph of the human spirit over adversity. Within 6 months, Ilara was making more than she ever had before. And somewhere in those healing months, Ronan realized with a clarity that took his breath away that he was falling in love with her. But he kept it to himself. Ilara was focused on her healing, rebuilding her business, preparing for the upcoming trial. So he loved her quietly, in the way he made sure her favorite tea was always stocked, in the way he described sunsets to her in elaborate detail, in the way he listened to her fears at 3 in the morning without judgment. 8 months after that rainy October night, Dax's trial began. When Ilara took the witness stand, she removed her blindfold for the first time in public. Her eyes were striking green, beautiful but unseeing, and there was something incredibly powerful about her choosing to face Dax without that protection. "Dax," Ilara said, her voice steady and clear, "you took everything from me. You left me blind and alone in the rain with no way to survive. But I didn't disappear. I survived. I found people who showed me what real love looks like. I rebuilt my business. I rebuilt my life. I became stronger than I ever was with you." She turned toward where he sat. "You thought my blindness made me weak, but you were wrong. You didn't break me, Dax. You freed me." The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Dax was sentenced to 10 years in prison and ordered to pay full restitution plus damages totaling over $300,000. The months after the trial were transformative. With her money restored and the legal battle behind her, Ilara felt lighter than she had in years. Her jewelry business flourished. She hired an assistant named Sarah Linden, a recent art school graduate, to handle the visual aspects. She and Ronan had fallen into an easy partnership. They cooked dinners together, sat on the porch in the evenings talking, became a family without ever formally acknowledging it. But something had shifted. Ronan would catch himself staring at Ilara when she laughed. Ilara would find herself reaching for Ronan's hand without thinking. Poppy had started making very pointed comments. "When are you and Daddy going to get married, Ilara? Because you basically already act married." It was a quiet evening, snow falling gently outside, when everything finally came to a head. Poppy was at a sleepover, and Ronan and Ilara sat on the couch with hot chocolate. "Ronan," Ilara said suddenly, "I need to tell you something." "What's that?" Ronan asked, his heart beating faster. "I love you. I've been in love with you for months." She was speaking quickly now. "You saved my life. You showed me what real love looks like. Patient, kind, steady, expecting nothing in return. You gave me back my faith in myself, and I love you for everything." Ronan was quiet for a moment, then took her hand. "Ilara, I love you too. I've been in love with you for months." He touched her face gently. "You've become the most important person in my life after Poppy. You've brought light back into this house. You've made me believe in love again." His voice broke. "I love you, Ilara Wynn. I love everything about you." Ilara started to cry, tears of pure joy. "Really?" "Really," Ronan confirmed, pulling her into his arms. They kissed then, tender and sweet and full of promise. A kiss that tasted like hope, like second chances, like coming home. "So what do we do now?" Ilara asked. Ronan smiled. "Now we build a life together, the 3 of us, if you'll have us. Ronan, you and Poppy are my family. You've been my family since the day you pulled over. I'm not going anywhere." "Good," because neither are we. Ronan and Alara married on a perfect spring day the following year. Poppy, now 10, served as flower girl, an official describer of everything. Alara, your dress is like clouds and starlight mixed together. It moves like water when you walk, and it has tiny sparkly things that catch the light and look like stars. When the officiant said, "You may kiss your bride," Ronan lifted Alara's chin and kissed her with all the love in his heart. "I see you," Ronan whispered. "I've always seen you." "And I see you too," Alara whispered back, "in all the ways that matter." 2 years after their wedding, life had settled into something beautiful and unexpected. Alara's jewelry business had expanded, with pieces featured in prestigious galleries. Ronan had opened his own woodworking studio, creating furniture that Alara helped design. Poppy, now 12, had started writing children's books about a blind superhero who could see people's hearts. But the biggest change had come 6 months ago when Alara announced at dinner, her hand resting on her stomach. "There's going to be 4 of us soon." Ronan had frozen mid-bite. "What?" "I'm pregnant. We're having a baby." Poppy had screamed with joy so loudly that Micah came running, only to find his niece dancing around chanting, "I'm going to be a big sister." Now, on a warm October afternoon, almost exactly 3 years after that rainy night, Alara sat on their porch, cradling their 3-month-old daughter. Her name was Lyra, and she had Ronan's dark hair and what might be Alara's green eyes. Ronan pulled up from a client meeting. He paused, looking at his family. His wife with their baby, his daughter with her stories, the autumn leaves falling like blessings. "What are you staring at, Daddy?" Poppy called. "Everything," Ronan said. "Everything I never knew I needed." He joined them, kissing Alara and stroking Lyra's soft hair. "Hard to believe it's been 3 years," Alara said softly. "Since the bus stop, since everything changed." Sometimes when they drove past that old bus stop, Ronan would squeeze Alara's hand. "That's where everything changed," he'd say. "That's where my real life began," Alara would correct. "The life where I'm loved for exactly who I am." And in those moments, surrounded by the people she loved, holding her baby daughter while her stepdaughter planned her next book and her husband drove them home, Alara knew with absolute certainty that she was exactly where she was meant to be. Sometimes the cruelest betrayals lead us to our greatest blessings. Sometimes the darkest storms bring us to the brightest mornings. Sometimes being broken open is the only way to let the light in. Ronan had pulled over on a rainy October night, not knowing that single choice would change 4 lives forever. Because that moment, that single choice to pull over, had given him everything. They'd saved each other, and they'd keep saving each other every single day for the rest of their lives. That was what love looked like. Not grand gestures, but choosing each other every day, showing up, believing, holding on when everything felt impossible. It looked like a single father pulling over in the rain. It looked like a blind woman finding courage to trust again. It looked like an 8-year-old deciding a stranger was family. It looked like building a life from broken pieces and discovering what you create is more beautiful than what was there before. That was their story. That was their truth. And it was everything.